Aye.
Aye, 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 Captain. All right, so we now have a discussion item, which I think we're all very anxious to hear about. It is the results of the bond sale.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe Doug is here to discuss this. Doug, are you?
I thought I saw Doug.
I'm here.
Excellent.
All right.
Go right ahead.
Well, I'll jump right in. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess Mr. Chairman, members of the agency. Thank you again for the time. Again, I'm Doug Gebhardt with Davenport and Company, the city's financial advisor, and today we're here to report back on the good news of the bond sale that took place earlier today. So with that, I'll do a brief introduction on the first slide. If we can move to the next one, is in order to affect the transaction in the public market, which was our recommendation, we had to go back and get the credit ratings for the city. We are pleased to report that we affirmed the AA2 rating from Moodys and the AA plus rating from S&P, both in the very strong category, with S&P sort of knocking on the door of AAA. So the highest possible and investment grade, and is a testament to the city's financial strength, the management of the city, and the overall operations. So a few things that Moodys had to say. The credit strengths was it was growing from a large tax base. You had strong reserves and liquidity, and the commitment to maintaining that, and also the manageable long-term liabilities, meaning debt and capital plans. Things that could lead to an upgrade is a continued improved wealth levels and tax base expansion. Both Moody's and S&P noted that. On the next slide is a few observations from S&P. They affirmed the AA plus rating. What you can see is on the bottom of the page is that in 2020, part of the COVID pandemic, S&P put out a negative outlook on the entire public finance sector. So the fact that we were able to maintain these ratings sort of in spite of all that's going on in the world is really a strength and a testament to that. There was basically 7 categories to that S&P takes a look at. I note that 5 of the 7 are at strong or very strong. And particularly point out that the management was a very strong, and with your strong financial policies and practices under their financial management assessment. So that's a testament to the city manager and his team and assistant city manager for the policies in place that we've worked to put in, and all the planning work that's gone into place. So with that, we've had very strong ratings, and we're looking to go market the bonds. This page shows just how good is the market. So this is the tax exempt interest rate trends, and this is for the 20-year AAA MMD. The left-hand side of the page shows rates since 2000, so roughly over the last 2 decades, and the right-hand side of the page shows since the 2016 presidential election. You can see in March, there was a little bit of the market disruption last year due to the pandemic, which has that little bit of a spike, but really slightly off the all-time lows. But when you look at it historically, we're basically at the bottom that rates have been over the last 2 decades. The next slide here shows the dark green line shows the yield curve going out 30 years and where it is for the AAA. And then the light green bars show percent of time rates have been lower. So what this is telling us is that over the course of roughly the last 2 decades, that interest rates have virtually been lower only 3% of the time. So the time for us to go in and lock in long-term rates is really a tremendous time to do that. And even on the short end of the curve, it's really almost never been lower. So great time to go to market and issue some long-term debt to really afford these transformational projects within the city. So what we did is what's called a competitive bond sale. So once we got the ratings back, we released a document called the preliminary official statement, which is basically a prospectus or an offering document that describes all the financial trends, the demographics, anything that a reasonable investor would want to know about the city. And we also put out a notice of sale, which outlines the parameters in which the bidders must abide by. And so we put that out, and at 11 a.m. this morning, we received bids back from 5 bidders. Citigroup was the winning bidder that provided an interest rate, a TIC 1.84%. I said that right, 1.84%. And the cover bid was Mesereau, who interestingly enough was a 2.86%, roughly 2 basis points from there. And the cover bid from high to low, or the spread from high to low was 17 basis points. So once we factor in all the cost of issuance and all that, the final all-in interest cost was basically right at 2%. So for 25-year money, the city's cost will be at 2%.
Can I roll my mortgage into that?
Yeah, exactly. To put it in
Put the words
perspective.
straight out of my mouth, Leslie.
Put it in perspective, when we issued the Series 2019 bonds for the public safety facility in the parks, that TIC was in the 260 range. So we're almost a full percent lower where we are today, locking in these lows. So here is the final pricing results, and you can see the coupon yields on the bond with basically 5% coupons through call date, and then after the call date, basically 2% coupons. And on the right-hand side of the page, you can see the price. So in today's market environment, where bonds are sold in what's called premium bonds, and so that means investors are only are willing to pay more than 100 cents on the dollars to get the necessary coupons at the yields that the market dictates. So therefore, the final par amount proposed final par amount is $15,895,000. So right at 15.9, but we only have to issue that 15.9 to fund the $17 million project. So basically there's some premium built in, and why not the par might necessarily the project fund. So that's the market we're in today. Then the next slide is our final debt service schedule. And what you can see is the annual debt service is right around $870,000 a year. With the first payment, we structured it in a way that it doesn't affect your current fiscal year budget. So the next payment is going to be coming out in 2022. So we've designed so that you don't have to come out of pocket this year for any of these costs and don't have to make any budget amendments. We're looking to close on April 13th. Just interest rates came back so favorable and from our planning rate that it was so much better than the planning rate that over the course of the loan, we're basically $1.25 million better off by lower debt service than sort of our preliminary planning mode that we were working from. So all things considered, a pretty tremendous result. The last page just shows the resulting combined bond debt service from the two bond deals on both these transactions. And so that's all I have today. What we're asking the agency to consider tonight is the approval of the bond resolution, which outlines all the parameters, terms, and conditions. It also authorizes entering into the contract with the city for the repayment of the bonds and a few other items. And there's our disclaimer, the fun reading stuff, we have to include. But with that, I'll pause and perhaps answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Doug. That was very exciting. Very, very exciting. Does anybody on the council have any questions for Doug or for John Walker or anybody else on our staff? John Mesa, you're muted. Still muted. And now we can't see you. Okay,
I'm good. I'm
okay.
good.
All right, there we go. All right, John's good. So everybody's good. So then, Mr. Walker, we need a motion to help us exactly what Doug said there.
Actually, this was just the presentation. We will do the motion after the next item.
Okay. All right. So I guess then we're going to move on to new business staff appointments. Yep. Well, look at that. It's already on my screen.
Yes, Mayor. We the agency needs to appoint a treasurer and secretary at this time. We recommend Kristen Gorham and Laura Lindman.
Motion to approve Kristen and Lauren as recommended by the city manager for the treasury and secretary positions.
Second.
Very good. Do we have a discussion on this item? All right. So we have motion and a second for the staff appointments as presented and recommended by the city staff. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Aye. Okay. I think I heard everybody. So that'll pass unanimously. The next item, Mr. Walker, we have is the 2020 URA annual report.
Thank you, Mayor. And Kristen, do you have the information on the annual report?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Kristen.
Okay. Yes, I do. Let me pull it up just a second. So this is for the annual, this is for the 2019 URA bonds in which we've been using for the public safety facility. We ended 2019 with a fund balance of $22,113,966. And obviously have been rocking and rolling through the construction of the Hearn property since then. And so at the end of 2020, we ended at $9,851,261. And so we will be, completing that project here in the next couple of weeks. And you'll have to do this again next year as we wrap up this project and move on to the next one. So that's where we ended 2020. And I think that's all you really need to know.
I'm sorry. I just find a lot of humor in that. And that's all
more than we needed to know.
Yeah, that's more than we understand anyway. We may need to know more, but that's more than we understand.
Sure. Well, it was a pretty simple, straightforward year. So
2020?
Financially, it was a very straightforward year for the URA.
I was just amazed when you said the year had come to an end. I was like, damn, it doesn't feel like it did. But okay, that's awesome. John, thank you so much. Your staff is doing a phenomenal job. Do anybody on the council have any questions for the staff? No?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead,
Kristen,
John.
do we need to have a motion on that item, or is that just for informational purposes?
We need to have a motion to approve this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you, Laura.
You're welcome.
Go ahead. Somebody make a motion, please.
Motion to approve the 2020 URA annual report as presented by staff.
Second.
Oh, there we go. Leslie had the second. All right. Is there any discussion? Didn't think so. We have a motion second to approve the 2020 URA annual report as presented by staff. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey, you heard me say aye. I get to vote on these. So that passes unanimously. All right. Now, John, we can move on to the parity bond resolution.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. As Doug stated before, this resolution will essentially, I wish I could say it as well as Doug did, but confirm the sale of the bonds and move that process forward.
So motion to pass the resolution confirming the sale of the bonds.
Second.
All right, Mr. Mesa got in before Ms. Lupton. So we have any discussion? We have a motion second then to approve of the resolution outlining the sale or approving the sale of the bonds as presented by staff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Mock, Mr.
Aye.
Mesa, I hear y'all. I hear him now. Okay.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Aye, Captain. So, Mr. Walker, unless we have anything else, I would imagine we are adjourned from this meeting, or we can adjourn from this meeting.
That's correct, Mayor.
All right, very good. Meeting adjourned. I will say thank you so much to the council for your vision, for our staff, for their hard work. You know, I was going to say sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. We've been really good, and our staff is phenomenal. But man, talk about hitting a time in your interest rates when it only in the last 20 years it's been 3% of the time been lower than this. That's it. We ought to all go to Vegas.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. So I guess with that, we'll all jump off this one, and it'll look just exactly the same in a couple minutes. So do what you need to do, but be back in 10 minutes at least, please.
Yes.
Okie dokie. Do we need to
All
make
right.
a motion to adjourn or are we done?
No, we're done.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Good.
Bam.